Hi there, Ruslan and Tony here from AbuSev Tattoo. Today we'll talk about cleaning and sterilization of equipment. So, what do we begin with? Firstly, we begin with preparation of the dirty zone and the clean zone. We prepare all the one-use materials, all the cleaning liquids, and other bits and pieces that we may need for the cleaning process. We have a disposable glass with water here and a gas jet. We'll show you later when we need these. There's also a sieve cleaning liquid in this little black container. It is perfect for cleaning the drying from the steel grippers. We will also need these two disposable brushes. They are used for different cleaning purposes and we normally have a lot of them. And one pair of these is used up per cleaning session. After the cleaning process, they will be thrown away as well as this container. Here we have a laminol solution. Equipment's been soaking inside for about 2 hours. This is the spoon that had been used during the tattoo session. You may have seen it on our other videos. We use it for applying cream and other substances onto the skin. And these are the needles that have been used over today's session. Before we begin the process of cleaning, let's set the water temperature and the pressure the way we want it. We only do it once and for the whole process of cleaning, so there's no extra chances for the cross-path contamination. That also means that until all these grippers are going to be cleaned and rinsed, we do not touch any other things outside the sink, so won't be touching any of these. Now he'll divide his surfaces into clean and dirty zone, same as he does with his hands, before they come into contact with potentially contagious objects, grippers that means. Now his right hand is the clean hand and his left is the dirty one. Okay, for this trick you'll also need a disposable cup with water. The water will be inside, so the metal cools down fast. The purpose of this procedure is to obtain the metal bar from the whole needle. It can then be straightened, cleaned, sterilized, and reused for soldering experiments. Once cleaned and sterilized, they will also come in handy to mix the ink during the tattoo process. Try using the side with a ring. The bar is suitable for high temperature sterilization and reuse, just like your grippers. We do that with each metal bar at least once, before it gets deformed or used inside the ink pot. So you see Ruslan unsoldering each needle this way. I guess everybody knows about this needle by now. It's our 112 Magnum, the king of all needles. Some try to copy it, but they fail. If you want to find out more about them, visit our website, the link's in bio and under this video. The nipples or grommets, however you like to call them, they can be removed after sterilization. They are made of hard silicone, so they'll stay intact if sterilized in an autoclave. Okay, so his left hand is now potentially contagious. The gas jet is put somewhere where it won't get in the way within the clean zone. The cup is still clean on the outside. The bars should be taken out for a wash. Then you can squeeze the cup, remove the excess water that was needed to cool down the metal, I remind you, and the rest can be utilized to the shop's medical waste container. By the way, tell us in comments, how do you personally utilize your used up needles? Do you have a special container for them, or do you just chuck them in the same bin with the rest of the stuff? Or maybe you have any other special way to do it. Okay, now it's time to do the actual cleaning process. The water is warm enough, it's running smoothly, it's not splashing everywhere, and firstly Ruslan recommends to sort bits and pieces by size, just to make it easier to do the washing. bars to one side, rubber covers to another, but remember, your left hand is still the only dirty hand, your right hand is still dry and clean and not contagious. Then we remove all the pre-sterilization solution. You can also remove all the grippers from the container, but you see, if you leave all the back stamps wiggling around in the sink, there's a big risk that they may fall into the little holes in the drain. The next important thing is that all the cleaning has to happen inside the sink. You shouldn't move your hands out of the sink during the process. That's it, now his right hand is in the dirty process too. So you grab the brush, dip it into the cleaning liquid, add some water and carefully begin your cleaning inside the sink. Avoid all the splashing around. Your sink should not be covered in black ink drops, because if it is, then you'll need to clean up your sink too, and everything around it probably. The less mess you make, the faster you'll be done with the process. You of course still have to do the basic cleaning of your working surfaces. Just don't make your life harder for yourself. It is very important to clean well inside all those little corners, holes and cracks. And take your grippers fully apart for full examination and cleanup. Even your hex screws should be taken out and cleaned if you got them dirty with ink. There should also be a hex key that belongs only to the cleaning zone. It's very important that the hex key is made of high quality material, stainless steel, and that it doesn't go rusty while being in the sink with all your other grippers. You see that? That's an advantage of our sink. It can be regulated with an elbow, so you don't have to touch it with the dirty hands. Just like an operation site. Does take a little bit of time to get used to it though. So, as you see, Ruslan firstly applies the cleaning liquid to all the surfaces of the grippers. While he's doing that, Sieve effectively dissolves all the dried up ink that's left on the grippers. So you apply the liquid and just put it away for a couple of minutes to soak. The longest to clean up normally take the large Magnum grippers. They often clog up with ink. If you can see that part here, when these grippers are produced, this hollow part is drilled through with a long metal cutter. You can also see that rounded shape it's left after itself. And that is the part where ink can be hiding and isn't easy to be cleaned out. So for that, just grab one of these little brushes, give it a rounded bend, then with some rounded shape movements, you can give it a good clean to the inside of the gripper. And same process goes to the back stamps. Clean them up with the little brush. And now we're almost done with the washing part of the metal grippers. The silicone rubbers are better to be cleaned under water, because when they're washed out of water, they cause extra mess and splashes because they're very squeezy and bouncy. Don't want to risk getting those splashes in the face. On the right part of the sink surface, you can see some water that got splashed, so that will have to be cleaned up. When you're done with the washing, make sure to double check all your equipment if you've cleaned it well enough, because the immaculacy of your equipment is the guarantee of yours and your client's safety. At least you'll be sure that you've done your part well on the health and safety issue, and your grippers are well cleaned, sterilized, and you won't be the cause of somebody getting ill. And of course, it is always better to do the cleaning of your grippers personally. Do them yourself, double check them yourself, to be totally sure of them. Now that all the grippers have been double checked for being super clean, Ruslan's going to leave them under the running water for about 5 minutes to rinse any leftover washing liquid. The container gets thrown away to the medical waste together with a cup with the needles. The needles will go to the special sharp section. So when you need a clean hand, you have to take your glove off. It also goes to the medical waste. Turn the water off. Then, with a clean hand, grab the paper towels, roll them to the gloved hand and try the water around. For a start, it will then also be cleaned with peroxide solution. Unfortunately, that hasn't been shown in the video, but your sink does have to be cleaned afterwards with some disinfectant solution. While the grippers are being rinsed, we prepare sterilization bags and the autoclave. Don't forget that it needs to have specific water level before the start of the cycle. By the way, an ultrasound can also be used for cleaning the grippers. It has even got a heating option for better cleaning effect, but at most times we don't use it, because all grippers get cleaned while still being fresh from the session. Sometimes, when you have a gripper with an all ink stain or a single liner nozzle, which isn't possible to clean by hands, an ultrasound comes in very handy. But it too has to be used correctly. To avoid cross-path contamination, for example, you've got to place a disposable cup with solution and the grip inside to play a role of a barrier between your grip and the surface of the ultrasound. When ultrasound has done its thing, you just take the cup out and pour it over to the main cleaning section inside the sink. This is an old retro autoclave. I think it's around 15 or 12 years old. A mechanical one, has minimum automations, very reliable. It requires distilled water to be added before each cycle. Then you put the trays with the grips, shut it like an old submarine and press start. Then, when water begins to boil, you shut the hole at the back and the pressure grows up to 2 bar, and that's it, sterilization process begins. When the grips have been rinsed, you just let the water drip off, pack them into the bags and chuck them to the machine. There we also have some scissors. They don't come into contact with skin, so we don't pack them into bags. And we always sterilize the bath that grippers soak in. That is very important too. Dirty gloves off. Ah, there. That's right, Ruslan. Double check for water. If you let it run dry, it'll simply burn on the inside. Very easy to break this piece of machine. Now close the autoclave and let the process begin. Then we'll wait for about 10-15 minutes until the water boils. As you can see, water is evaporating. There's a valve at the back that lets the overpressure go down, while the autoclave is in the process of preparation before the actual sterilization. It is an old technology, but it is very reliable because it is fully manual and does not have any electronic programming. Now Ruslan has shut the valve and autoclave will do the rest by itself. Once the cycle's over, Autoclave will lose the pressure, it will cool down, then the door will be opened and grippers will be ready for the next tattoo session. This is it for the cleaning and sterilization process. Sign up to our profiles and visit our website store for professional equipment. Thank you for watching. This was Ruslan Antonia explaining the cleaning and sterilization process at AbuSev Tattoo.